Hello, everybody, and welcome to the State of Tennessee Enabling Technology Talks. Each of our Enabling Technology Talks kind of consists of a brief interview and a discussion with one of our technology vendors. And the whole idea is to give our viewers a little more information and education on what types of technology solutions are out there to help people and are designed for people with both intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so I am your host, Milton Nuenswunder. I am a tech champion from the State of Tennessee Enabling Technology Program. And today we have with us Steve Sutter, and he is president and co-founder of the CreateAbility. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much.
So Steve, thank you for joining us. I wonder if we can just start out with you kind of explaining a little bit more about yourself, as well as the reason why you decided to create CreateAbility.
Yeah, thanks. I was with Hewlett-Packard for 18 years as an electrical engineer from Purdue. And I had been a volunteer also simultaneously during that time for about 15 of those years, helping people with special needs using a water therapy program that uses the buoyancy of water to avoid the effect of gravity, and still gives them a constant, resistance. And it was a fun time as well. It was really entertaining for everyone that was involved, including the volunteers. And I was president of that group for a while. But I just kept having this burning desire to do it more. And suddenly I announced my resignation from HP, and it was at a time where you didn't do that. you just ended your career with HP. And it was really a wonderful company, but I just had this burning desire. So really to start out with, I started doing assessments for the state of Colorado and the states of Wyoming. And those are both really large states to be doing assessments all over, but trying to do functional needs assessments as well as assistive technology fit analysis to help reduce that gap between a person's goals and their needs. And again, we didn't care about their disability, really just cared about what they could do, and then tried to help bridge the gaps for those areas where they needed support. I moved the company from Colorado to Indiana in 2006 when my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which got us into a different category of intellectual disability, which I won't focus on today. But our heart was still helping people with developmental intellectual disabilities. And to date, our lion's share of our customers are people with Down syndrome, autism, Fragile X, those kind of things.
Nice. So we do have a little bit of video about CreateAbility. So we're going to go ahead and show that right now. And then after that, we'll have a little more discussion and go in a little more detail about what CreateAbility has to offer.
This video is an overview on CreateAbility concepts, its culture, solutions, and customers. Our focus is on technology with a human touch. We focus on what a person can do, then explore ways to help them reach their goals. 3 important aspects of our culture are, number 1, our collaborations and close integration with our customers, major universities, and thought leaders. Number 2, a spirit of sharing our technology before it's ready to make sure that it aligns with the customer's needs. And number 3, keep the consumer at the center of the focus, including asking them their opinion in a fun and innovative way. All of our solutions are the result of 19 years of evidence-based research that has been funded by the National Institutes of Health, the National Institute on Disability Independent Living Rehabilitation Research, and a section of the USDA that is focused on improving life in rural settings. Steve Sutter, our president and founder, is also the chair of the Cognitive Disability Special Interest Group of RESNA and a frequent speaker at national conferences. The majority of our customers are agencies and providers that serve people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in community, vocational, and independent living settings. Before working with CreateAbility, many of our customers used to be frustrated with how to implement a person-centered plan that simplified the process of documenting the various roles and responsibilities of the individual's circle of support. CreateAbility's Beam is a cloud-based system that helps create the circle of support to help the individual fulfill their choices related to their involvement in the community, where they live, and their jobs. This philosophy helps the individual voice their desires and preferences to help them have a positive control over the life they desire and find satisfying. Beam is capable of connecting with various forms of technology to provide an umbrella of support to the individual. Before they discovered CreateAbility's solutions, our customers were previously confused about how to comply with quarterly and annual surveys and assessments. Beam also includes a wide variety of assessment forms that help staff monitor and track progress. Beam also works seamlessly with our mobile apps, including CreateAbility Coach.
Do you feel like your boss gave you clear instructions on what to do today? Did you feel like you had sufficient time to accomplish your job today?
CreateAbility Coach can help consumers independently participate in the surveys, which span a variety of perspectives, including health, safety, their home, workplace, their day program, relationships with staff, and their behavioral health. CreateAbility Coach is a natural and fun way for individuals to independently complete various assessments via an interactive avatar.
Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.
With CreateAbility Coach, customers can now design surveys that their consumer can take independently to assess things such as their enjoyment with their day program, their job and employer, their interactions with their staff, and their feelings about their ability to make decisions and their satisfaction with their housing situation. Our customers previously struggled with finding affordable solutions for remotely monitoring the individual in various residential settings. Beam integrates with CreateAbility's in-home and group home sensor-based systems. They can now affordably track medication use, oral hygiene, CPAP usage, elopements, and the accomplishment of activities of daily living. Before working with us, job coaches used to struggle with how to identify and create the accommodations required to help the persons to be successful in their new job with their employer. Some had experimented with limited apps, but because of the increasing trend towards job placements at an employer's site, job developers and job coaches are increasingly troubled by the effort required to create prompts and reminders for their clients. Job coaches previously used to struggle with how to fade their supports.
Welcome to MeMinder. Please tap the item that you want to hear.
MeMinder helps take the effort out of supporting consumers by helping them find respectful, meaningful work, access to the community, and chores at home.
Empty the trash. Take a bath or shower. Eat dinner.
With MeMinder, staff can easily remotely create prompts, adjust the consumer's schedule, and track performance and accomplishments. Many of MeMinder's features were developed with Source America, one of the largest employers of people with intellectual disabilities. MeMinder can be used as a talking pictures to-do list or full video modeling. It's time to feed the dog. Those who are supporting the individual simply select the tasks they need for the individual from the hundreds of tasks with pictures that have already been defined on Beam. Completed tasks are removed from the list as they are checked off and simultaneously reported to Beam. Each completion is timestamped for tracking by a remote job coach to assist with fading. Full video modeling can be recorded in the app using a variety of methods, such as person point of view, modeling the task by another, or filming the individual performing the task to independently guide them. CreateAbility's Whenware Advisor simplifies task creation by allowing the job coach to dictate the task, and our natural language processor breaks this into individual steps that can then be delivered to MeMinder for use by the consumer in the workplace. Outside of supporting the person at work, home, or out in the community, some agencies used to complain about the lack of apps that could help clients increase their emotional IQ in an effort to help them communicate and relate to others better. Welcome to My Emotional Compass. The goal of this exercise is to give you better insights into your emotions. We do this by labeling them. My Emotional Compass is a collaboration with a psychologist at Indiana University that helps individuals learn how to label their thoughts about various life situations. The individual first determines if this was a pleasant or unpleasant thought, then the level of intensity they are feeling. This helps guide them to words that may help them express themselves. Before working with us, our customers used to be frustrated with the difficulty in designing treatment to help individuals with challenging behaviors, without understanding the triggers and factors that bring about this behavior. Without a way to track clients with challenging behaviors, they were worried that all of the effort they put into residential or job placements may fall apart if their client had another conflict with a roommate or coworker. Beam's cloud-based assessment tools can help track the individual across multiple domains, such as anger, mood, substance abuse, sleep quality, discontrol, socialization, and cognitive function. Some consumers may qualify for doing self-assessments, delivered by CreateAbility Coach avatar at remotely controlled intervals. CreateAbility Coach can help operationalize interventions in the context of therapy. For example, when these assessments trigger the need for an intervention to support the person, the appropriate exercise can be triggered on the consumer's app, such as mindfulness when they are at higher levels of emotion, and practicing skills when they are at a calm state using an inoculation or scaffolding model that empowers the consumer by practicing skills that they can benefit from when they are in stressful situations with roommates or coworkers or staff. Staff assessment tools can also be added to Beam to help agencies and providers assess their staff's level of engagement, sense of appreciation, and identify training needs and opportunities. Most of our customers used to be annoyed with the time and effort that staff had to spend on documentation that frequently was not reimbursable. All data from apps, web forms, and sensors report into Beam. Beam data can be exported to Word, Excel, or PDF. Finally, before working with us, many customers were embarrassed that they were afraid of technology or unsure as to how to introduce it to their organization. Others used to be worried about how to train and support their staff during the transition. CreateAbility offers excellent training and support. This can be delivered on-site or via webinar and can be tailored to your needs.
Okay, Steve, we're back. So that
Okay.
was a very informative video. And so what I think we need to do is just kind of break it down a little and dig a little deeper. And I have some questions for you that I believe will be useful for the viewers that are watching this video. So I believe you have a kind of a PowerPoint presentation that you want to share as we go through those questions, if you want to bring that up.
So to go through this, why don't you drive with the questions and I'll see if they answer them as we sequence through this.
That'll be fine. So I'm just going to kind of go in order that the video kind of presented your technology solutions.
Okay.
And so the first thing that the video mentioned was your Beam dashboard. And like it said, one of the biggest challenges for many provider agencies is kind of the communication and coordination between their support staff and providing that caregiving services. And so it sounds like CreateAbility has developed a technology solution called Beam that kind of helps agencies with dealing and organizing the daily frustrations of this coordination. So can you talk a little bit more about Beam, the Beam dashboard, and how it connects to your other technologies to be able to kind of organize and coordinate that daily service?
Yep, glad to. Thank you. So Beam, as we mentioned, was a collaboration with several different federal agencies, the NIH, NIDLR, and a section of the USDA. And it brought together many of the different perspectives that often weren't shared, such as primary healthcare physicians or providers wouldn't share information easily with caregivers who may know a different perspective of the individual. Family members may also have other information, and what they lacked was one central place to be able to share that. So by using the Beam dashboard, which started out as a basic everyday activity monitoring as an acronym, but now we just call it Beam mostly, it would tell us all as far as what were the completed tasks that individual was supposed to do or someone was supposed to do on their behalf, which ones are critical. It's getting maybe halfway through the day and we've only completed 6 or 2 of the 4 critical tasks. So let's look at that. And then a whiteboard that gave a embedded text communication capability between each of the different individuals in that circle of support for that individual. It also gave them a process and a very simple way to do it in a fun way. There had been several other systems that were web-based, such as Lots of Helping Hands. So we took that philosophy and brought it into a more simple way, where individuals and the care team just selects the areas that they want to monitor for this individual through a bunch of different web forms, and it already has pre-selected images, text, audio, those kind of things, when they might want to play it on MeMinder or some kind of a task prompter. And then they enter in who wants to be notified when a certain thing did happen that you didn't want to happen, or who wants to be notified when the thing that was supposed to happen didn't happen. And as each one of those things were scheduled in a daily schedule, as they were completed by each individual, it then time-stamped it, put it in the cloud for everyone to monitor and be able to see how it all flowed together.
Nice. And so it kind of looks like to me that anybody who is connected to Beam can provide information according to the tasks and what's being what services are being provided. So they can use like a mobile technology or a computer-based technology. Is that correct?
Yes. Anything that runs a browser, the system auto sizes using a technique called responsive web design that automatically sizes to whether it's a phone device, a large tablet, or a desktop or a laptop.
Nice. So, I mean, that seems really like accessible and, kind of at your fingertips types of data collection, it makes it a lot easier for people providing care.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing your video talked about was CreateAbility's innovative idea to use like a mobile avatar for like a coach. And I really like this idea that CreateAbility put together, because now you're seeing avatars being used in a lot of different situations, with like iPhones using them for communication through texting, video games using avatars for people to express themselves by creating their own avatars. And then even, in learning and development type of applications where you can develop an avatar to show your progress and so on and so forth. So can you give us a little bit more information about your mobile avatar and examples of how it works?
Yes. And we call our avatar our CreateAbility Coach.
Gotcha.
So it starts out back with Beam again. There can be assessments on a certain situation for an individual. And then that is linked then with apps in this kind of a way. Imagine if and this is a generic model here, where there can be some kind of intake or initial assessment of an individual. Let's say that we're monitoring alcohol consumption, and they've had a problem with that in the past, or they have some healthcare related things such as diabetes management. So there'd be an initial intake and then ongoing assessments. How are they doing over time? And if that assessment reached a certain, you might say, tripping point or trigger point, that might mean that there needs to be some intervention, such as if we were detecting in our ongoing assessments pain level, then that might trigger some kind of intervention running as an app on the individual's phone, or even using really low-cost devices like the Amazon Fire, just $50 device. What it does is it then plays the intervention that might be necessary to help that individual. It also allows for ongoing assessments via the CreateAbility Coach for those individuals who need to be reassessed at a higher frequency than what they could do if they were with a professional or direct support professional or staff member, such as, let's say, if we're tracking blood sugar levels. You'd want to do that daily. This app would allow them to actually interact with the avatar right there to collect that information. And when, again, it triggered that some intervention might be necessary, such as in the area of mindfulness, some of the other techniques for getting a person to calm down using breathing techniques and other mindfulness strategies, it can play those. So where it's being used now is in physical health, a section of CMS, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, a group called QSource, which tries to keep a lid on overall Medicaid, Medicare spending. They're running a project using Beam and these assessment tools with the avatar. It's also being used in job training or job readiness, consumer surveys based on that, done by the consumer, done by the actual individual with a developmental disability. What do they think about their boss situation? Do they receive adequate training and time to perform the job? Do they really get clear instructions? And those kind of things.
Nice. Now, with a lot of these avatars, they can be personalized and, according to a person's preference so that they can be more comfortable with interacting with them. Is that the same case with your CreateAbility Coach?
Yes. So hopefully you see on the display there the customizations of the CreateAbility Coach. They can select the avatar that they feel most comfortable with, and that could change on a daily basis. Do they want their name used? Like, Tommy, it's time to, whatever.
Gotcha.
And then what is that assessment or intervention frequency? Sometimes it can be done on a every other day, biweekly, monthly basis. Sometimes it's a daily. And then what is the time of day? Since initiation is a primary issue with this population, the system actually wakes up and at a predefined time that you can set on Beam, and it will then prompt them at that time.
Nice. Very good. And then again, kind of with the question with Beam, as along with this CreateAbility Coach, is there certain connection requirements needed for the avatar to work? Or
yes, so it can run on your cellular plan because all these devices run on phone-sized
Gotcha.
apps. So if you have a data plan on your cellular plan, we can use that. We also have this thing we call connect sometimes. What we mean by that is it's very frequently that sometimes maybe in the performance of a job task or a series of activities that they may be in an area of a house or building where the internet connectivity is poor or maybe not existing. So for those reasons, we buffer up and store all the results until the next time that while they're using the app that they are in the presence of internet or Wi-Fi. And then it uploads, catches up Beam with all that data and checks in with Beam to see is there any new information that it needs to pull down to prompt them further.
Great. Yeah, and you can almost go anywhere nowadays and find some kind of Wi-Fi source. So even if you don't have a connection at work, you can just walk down the road to the local coffee shop and upload that data right. Pretty quickly. So that sounds great. Let's move on to a little more talking about your residential systems. And you guys have created a variety of different residential systems that you appropriately title independent systems because it helps people become more independent in their environments and where they choose to live. So could you just explain a little bit more about your different independent systems?
Yes. So we try to use the verb or whatever that supports that individual appropriately. So seniors, older adults, have been accustomed to being independent. Independence Keeper would help extend that range of time that a person could stay independent if they have dementia. It includes fall avoidance as well as fall detection tools, medication adherence checking, that kind of thing. Back to Independence is for individuals who've survived a brain injury, could be from a stroke, could be a traumatic brain injury, blow to the head type situation. And there we help them with initiation and decision supports, scheduling, those kinds of tasks, especially if it was a frontal lobe kind of situation. And because of the comorbidity of visual impairment with a brain injury, sometimes we need to have very large displays, high contrast, that kind of things, when we're trying to visualize information for them. Independence Builder, we're trying to help individuals maybe for the first time being independent to really help them, support them in those areas. And we do that by helping to verify that the right things happen, validate that they happen, and really make sure that they're having a scaffolding approach of safety. Within the Independence Builder system is a series of prompts and visuals that appear on bedside, bathroom, or kitchen or living room prompters that really are a low-cost tablet that doubles as a slideshow of their favorite family members, vacations, happy events in their life. But at the right time, it could say, hey, are you okay? We haven't seen you move around for a couple of hours. Everything okay? Time to wake up, time to take your medications, those kind of things. If storms are detected in the area, it might make sure that they feel comfortable, that they're safe, those kind of things. And then lots of positive supports when they do the right thing. So it's not just all negative prompting, it's detecting, hey, you did great, you took your medications perfectly, or you did a great job preparing that meal, those kind of things.
Nice.
All of these report into Beam as well. Go ahead.
Perfect. So with those, I feel like you guys also personalize these systems according to the preferences and needs of individuals. Can you go into a little bit about how that process works?
Yes, it starts out as a interview where we'll take any data that we have so far from functional assessments, mobility kind of assessments if needed, and trying to look at their goals and then trying to bridge those goals. In other words, a common scenario is, where are the areas that this person needs to demonstrate independence to be able to really be able to build that independence? Oftentimes it could be medication adherence. Are they really taking their medications at routine intervals? So in those cases, we could add a medication tray. Are they sleeping well? If they maybe are skipping on using their CPAP machine, those kind of things. An example would be, let's say that this individual had oral hygiene as an area where they are really lacking, and that's going to really affect their long-term health care. So as they're removing their toothbrush from the tray, it detects that. It detects if it went in long enough as well. So it'll actually say, hey, you didn't brush long enough. You want to go to the dentist? Or something humorous. It can detect if they are using their CPAP and for how long over the evening, and reporting into Beam as well. Medication adherence. It rotates the right slot with the right dose at the right time to that individual and detects when they tilt that tray and reports that up to Beam as well. The blood pressure records that automatically with using Bluetooth devices, as well as digital scales, especially if those individuals have, let's say, other conditions such as COPD, CHF, those kind of things. Basically, it's by using really low-cost intrusion alert sensor devices and motion detectors and heat detectors, we'll put these sensors at various key spots in the home based on the functional assessment and walkthrough in the home. And as they perform those activities, maybe left the stove on unattended too long while it's hot, it would then think about that in a local module that sits in the home, very small, but very easy to hide behind a bookcase, and then reports that data to the cloud so they can then get pushed down and notify the right individuals of a notification that everything's fine, or an alert that things are really not fine. Someone needs to check on this.
Nice. Is there anything else about your independent family systems that you wanted to talk about, or you want to move on to the MeMinder?
Let's go on to MeMinder if we can.
Okay, great. So one of our biggest initiatives for the state of Tennessee is called Employment First, which means that we really are geared towards getting people that we provide supports to holding general workforce, being in the general workforce. It should be the preferred option for individuals to be able to be in their community, to have a job, to maintain their jobs, and to be a part of their community. And it looks like that CreateAbility have developed an interactive app called MeMinder that can help provider agencies, job coaches, and the user to maintain those jobs and be more successful at the workplace. So if you could please just kind of demonstrate, talk about how MeMinder works and from a user point of view, and then we'll go from there.
Great. So the big situation, as you talked about with Employment First, is WIOA and the reduction of the 14C certificates. So in other words, employers or situations where they used to be able to supplement the pay for an individual with federal dollars, those 14C certificates are being reduced. And with WIOA, that is really kind of shutting down a lot of the, many of the sheltered workshops or supported employment situations that were federally funded, and causing individuals with intellectual disabilities to seek competitive employment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really a tough ask, especially with the reduction or problems getting job coaches to support them. So that was the beginning of MeMinder, was by working with large Ability One kind of networks like Source America. And basically how it works from on the left, you'll see MeMinder app, talking pictures to-do list mode. And on the right is a view of Beam dashboard. And again, that dashboard is just a quick view to see, is everything okay? And so as an individual performs a task on the left using MeMinder, so it said straighten up and clean up, they check it off, it then gets removed off that list from this tablet. And it was talking there, I was so far as kind of faint to hear, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
But the idea is, in the talking pictures to-do list, there's a connectivity between Beam and MeMinder such that coaches, employers can find out exactly when things were accomplished, what things might have been missed, and it can really help with scheduling of those things all remotely. So that even though these are shown side by side, they could be 1,000 miles away. Mm-hmm. The idea is, let's see, go to the next slide, is for video modeling to be able to, go ahead. They could then check that off and then go to the next sequence. And so on. So each of these could be done for any task. It could be done on watching the individual perform it themselves, watching a model perform it, or watching it from their point of view. That is, holding the tablet in a way that they can see their hands doing the various steps as they perform the activity. Whatever is appropriate for that individual, all customizable, and it's all recorded and produced right in the app.
Nice.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Keep going. This is great.
Okay.
Great information.
So how it would help coaches and employers is that we would be able to help them with setting this up, putting it in the right mode, whatever was supporting for that individual. Sometimes they just need a talking pictures to-do list with memory, for those with memory issues. For those with sequencing, we would use video modeling or fading supports based on 3 different levels. So what we do is we label them as a level 1, meaning just tell me the top things like make coffee. If I was at level 2, I would get into, to make coffee, we'll need a filter, we'll need coffee, and we'll need water. If I was at level 3, we would go into detail into those steps. Well, here's where we keep the coffee filters. Go to this cabinet, select one filter, open it this way, and visualize each of those steps if we needed to. The sequences or these tasks we already have several hundred of them built in to Beam, and you just simply go to the web form and select the tasks for the categories that you need to prompt that individual. And if we put it into talking pictures reset mode, it would literally even count the number of cycles that they produce. In other words, the number of bathrooms cleaned, the number of assemblies completed, and those kind of things. You could then, noticing that this is in the red, not in the green, you could click on that units completed, and it would then give you a time-stamped listing of each of those cycles that they completed of those steps. In other words, so MeMinder is in a loop of cycles, and as they complete each set, it then increments this counter on Beam automatically. But here, the supervisor or coach could look at to see, well, there's something not right here. It usually should take between 6 and 8 minutes for every one of these cycles. And here might be a problem that only took 4 minutes. There might be a quality problem with that unit produced, or with that bathroom that was cleaned, or that cafeteria activity or landscaping tasks that were performed. So that's how it helps job coaches. And again, one of our themes then, our models of our company is give people sneak previews, release things deliberately early so that people can be involved in the alpha test and beta site level and really be able to give us feedback. Here's a new feature that's coming out this spring for MeMinder, where supervisors who have never been trained on task modeling, task breakdown analysis can literally just dictate into our web form, and the system would then coach them on how it automatically broke that down for them. Here's an example of that, how it might work. I went to the wrong step. I'm supposed to hit. If I could hit the right button here. So I'll go to sequence around 52 or so.
So Steve, just to interrupt real quick, I'm not sure if we can hear the voice commands, but it kind of looked like somebody was just recording it and then it was taking what they recorded and then putting those steps into the system. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, they dictated into it, and then the system, using some neural net language processing, broke that into the sequences for them.
And then they could go in and kind of correct the spelling or whatnot that they didn't that the system didn't understand for each sequence.
That's right. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
And
so it's kind of like a text to speech or speech to text type thing.
Yes, speech to text with the capability of now being able to go in and move things around and break things into levels. We could prioritize them, rechange the sequence level, those kind of things.
That's really neat. So if somebody was really, like one of our agencies was really interested in using this for one of their individuals, do you guys provide like a trial period or like kind of a testing period to make sure it would work with their individual, or how would you guys go about that?
Yep, we ship them a tablet on an Android device. Android gives us more flexibility and fluidness in being able to do updates remotely, and set it up, help them set it up, and then test it with their individual.
Great. Great. So it sounds like it's pretty easy to at least try out this MeMinder application and see if it could help somebody at their job, which is a big focus for the state of Tennessee and the people that we support. Is there anything else that you want to talk about MeMinder with?
One more thing on sequencing. Sometimes you can really slow down individuals who've been experienced for a certain amount of time. So what we wanted to do was, by putting MeMinder in a shoulder or bicep mounted jogging strap, and then enabling touch to advance, they just literally can listen to the instructions. They don't need to follow any videos at this stage. They're experienced, but they just need help reminding. And again, they might be at this level 1, 2, or 3. Even though they were at level 1 yesterday, well, maybe they took a vacation or had a long weekend and they need to drop back a level, give me more supports today, those kind of things. So that's what it would allow us to do. As an example, hopefully we could see this or hear this. And as we swipe up on the display, and so on. I don't know if you could hear that okay. Could you?
I can faintly hear it.
Okay.
But yeah, we were able to get the idea.
Yeah, it could really help in sequencing. Again, that's just by adding pictures with the sequence we developed with the voice recording. It then gets downloaded to MeMinder, and then you can add supporting imagery, or you can just leave it with audio and text only.
Gotcha. Well, good. Wow, sounds like there's a lot of features and capabilities for MeMinder, a lot of practical uses for the people that we support. So I'm thinking that this will be something that our provider agencies would be really interested in. Kind of moving on to the last but not least, the video also commented on some kind of behavioral health applications that you have. And so can you kind of just briefly describe your applications that could help with somebody's mental health?
Yes, that too. So realizing that in maybe this first step, you may not be getting into this too deep, or want to focus on certain set of individuals in the early phases that maybe do not have behavioral health components. But we find that almost 50, sometimes 60% of our populations nationwide and have some component of behavioral health. And that's why we bring it up, because those challenging behaviors can really erupt at the wrong time. And it's so frustrating when it takes a team of individuals to help with a residential placement or a job placement, and then a undiagnosed eruption occurs with a conflict with a roommate or a coworker. It can really dismantle all that effort to help that individual get that job or residential placement. So that's how we got into this category. And essentially, those assessment tools that might be on Beam, for this individual, let's say that they wanted to have their anger assessed. So by clicking on the industry standard BAAQ assessment tool, the staff member can begin to actually perform that assessment. They could click on the right thing, get in, fill out that form, web-based forms as they need to. Let's see if I can advance this. And they would complete that assessment. Moving on to the next step, that might trigger the need for an intervention. So here is where a participant, excuse me, I said intervention, I got ahead of myself. The participant could also perform some of these assessments too. And so as they perform that step, I don't know if you could hear that, but it voiced what was written in the upper right-hand corner. And if ever you need it repeated, you just tap on the person again, the little avatar, and it repeats that question.
Nice.
It can also voice the different answers. And then as you select the one that says, yeah, that's the one I want to represent my answer. That could then trigger an intervention that could be related to mindfulness. Here's a character that is one of the set of avatars for those individuals who don't want someone staring at them. That's it, interferes with their ability. Right. And here we might get into a series of mindfulness exercises, starting with breathing, noticing what we hear, noticing the sounds around us, what we smell around us, those kind of things. And that begins the healing process many times. So I don't know if you can hear that, but the goal was, how do we convert someone who might be right at the brink on the left and help them calm down? Any of these assessment tools can also trigger scaffolding or an inoculation model. In other words, where maybe they didn't trigger that they need any assessment right now or any intervention right now, but we might want to use this opportunity as practice so that we can build those skills so that maybe they can call upon them later when they are having a meltdown situation, or no one likes to be wet in the rain and miss our bus. Well, that could be really frustrating for an individual with intellectual disabilities. And how do we help build those kind of skills ahead of time that they can call upon them at the right time later?
Nice. Okay, so I think that's all my questions. If you would just go ahead and show us your contact information, I think we're going to wrap up this tech talk.
Will do. Lastly, and not leastly,
Okay.
besides our own kids or our own starving children, we really do donate 10% of all the profits of our sales to help starving children in many different projects worldwide. Something that we think is really important. As far as our contact information, again, Steve Sutter, Steve at CreateAbilityInc.com. That's also our website if you'd like to go there as well, and can be reached at that phone number there.
Great. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that's viewing this Enabling Technology talk. If you are at all interested in the technology products and solutions that CreateAbility has been providing, please, please, please just give Steve a call or shoot him an email or just go to his website and you can probably find all the information that you need there as well. So the information that was provided on this Tech Talk about the State of Tennessee Enabling Technology Program and the views expressed by our guests are not necessarily the views of the host or the state of Tennessee, but it's more for educating and informing individuals about the technologies that are out there to help people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so please, if you need any more information about that, you can go to our Enabling Technology website, and you can find more information about our technology vendors and our partners through that website. Once more, I'm Milton Neuenswander, Tech Champion for the State of Tennessee Enabling Technology Program. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video, and I guess I'll see you all next time.